Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Believe in best.
Tonight on Our News, the Bahamas back at level 3 on the CDC's travel advisory scale. Why the F&M says it's irresponsible to disregard lockdowns and curfews. The former education minister slams government's one-size-fits-all approach. His successor hits back. And 2 people rescued after a plane goes down off Chub Key. Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, Free National Movement leader Michael Pintard is slamming the Prime Minister's assertion that lockdowns and curfews are off the table as irresponsible. He's suggesting anything that can help should be considered. Bethany McDermott reports.
F&M leader Michael Pintard is hitting out at the Prime Minister, who last week said lockdowns and curfews are off the table despite an alarming surge in COVID-19 cases and 130 healthcare workers out of the system.
It is irresponsible for a government to completely take off the table tools that may, at some point in the future, be useful and necessary for a country.
The country confirmed record COVID-19 cases over the holidays. Pintard said they're not recommending lockdowns or curfews, but he questioned how much higher must cases get before the government takes action.
What percentage of positivity triggers what provision and measures? Have they thought about this previously? Has the health professionals recommended to them? And let us know what the health professionals are recommending. The health professionals, when we were in the chair, they were very candid. As the numbers increase, we met with them. They told us what the numbers were. They told us the percentage of positivity that required certain measures.
Now, Pintard says he feels the government is only looking to make a select group of people happy in their decision-making instead of prioritizing the health and well-being of the nation.
Unfortunately, this administration is really pandering to some voices that sometimes do not have the requisite information, and it's unfortunate. They have to lead. They are in the chair. We have a crisis. We're expecting them to lead. We are available to assist, but they have to lead.
While in government, the F&M came under heavy fire for its handling of the pandemic and stringent measures like lockdowns and curfews. On Tuesday, Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Darville said the government is doing all it can in the fight against COVID-19. However, former Health Minister Renwood Wells doesn't think so.
The minister can start by doing the things that his government has promised the Bahamian people. The government has spoken to the need for an aggressive vaccination educational campaign to reverse the downward trend in those seeking to be vaccinated in our nation. And we, in the official opposition, encourage them to immediately do so. The government has spoken to the need for the free COVID testing throughout the country. We employ them to immediately do so and not simply just deploy a pilot project.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
Meanwhile, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has bumped the Bahamas back up to a level 3 travel advisory, encouraging Americans to reconsider travel. It comes less than a month after the advisory was lowered to level 2. This as tourism officials announced a change in travel protocols, which will loosen restrictions for vaccinated passengers. Kyle Joaquin has the details.
With 4 cruise ships in harbor, it's still quite busy for the country tourism-wise. But the CDC citing high levels of COVID now urging Americans to think twice before travel to the Bahamas. Overnight, the CDC bumping the Bahamas back up to a more serious level 3. On its website, the January 4th advisory warned, reconsider travel to the Bahamas due to COVID-19. Exercise increased caution in the Bahamas due to crime. However, Tourism and Investments Minister Chester Cooper says there is no need to worry.
It's nothing to be alarmed about in our view. What we're seeing is the scourge of the 4th wave, as we call it. This is not unique to the Bahamas. It's being experienced everywhere else in the world, including our major source markets.
He was referring to markets like the U.S., which on Monday confirmed a record 1 million COVID cases. The advisory follows a busy holiday season for tourism in the Bahamas that saw major resorts booked out.
We expect that there will be continued interest in forward booking for the Bahamas, but We are concerned naturally, and we are working closely with health officials to ensure that we have the right protocols in place to strike the right balance between protecting public health and our economy and continuing growing our tourism industry.
But this latest advisory comes amid a change in travel protocol to enter the Bahamas, with vaccinated travelers no longer needing PCR tests to enter the country.
We've allowed antigen testing, which is the standard in major markets around the world. Secondly, we have shortened the period for post-travel testing. So what used to be the 5-day test now happens within 48 hours. So we've tightened it on the back end, but we responded to the lack of availability of PCR testing in many of our source markets, particularly in the U.S.
Now, the protocol for vaccinated travelers no longer requiring PCR testing applies to children between the ages of 2 to 11 as well. They only need an antigen test no older than 72 hours.
They were being stuck abroad because they simply did not have access to the PCR tests, or the test results came back late.
Cooper said government is looking at the daily confirmed cases in country, assessing from a health standpoint, while also looking at the country's economy, which Cooper said is critical.
So we're not going to lock down the economy. We've seen the pain and suffering of the Bahamian people, the suffering of our economy, the suffering of the tourism product as a result of the lockdowns of the previous administration. We recognize we have to live with COVID.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
In other news, 2 people were rescued this morning after an airplane went down in waters off Chub Cay near the Berry Islands. The U.S. registered Cessna 402 departed from the Opa-locka Executive Airport in Florida at 7:52 a.m. en route to Chub Cay before an engine malfunction resulted in the aircraft crashing in waters at 8:47. The Aircraft Accident Investigation Authority said in a statement it initiated accident response protocols, and the United States Coast Guard was on scene conducting search and rescue. Both individuals were rescued and taken to Chub Cay for further assessment. One of the passengers had injuries. Officials say salvaging the aircraft is not feasible due to the location of the crash, which extends thousands of feet deep. And former Education Minister Jeffrey Lloyd is slamming the government's one-size-fits-all policy regarding the postponement of face-to-face learning, calling on the Davis administration to revisit its decision to prohibit schools from in-person lessons. Lloyd suggests the call to implement a blanket policy was ill-advised as Bahamian students continue to suffer.
Bahamian students cannot afford to miss another day of essential school instructions. Too many have suffered already. The schooling experience is not only beneficial for the impartation of knowledge alone, but provides the critical value of socialization that all persons, especially the young, so desperately needs.
Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville recently announced the long-awaited return to face-to-face learning would be postponed for at least 2 weeks. However, Lloyd says this policy isn't necessary for all schools.
Ministry's decision to blanket the public and private school system with a total virtual learning mandate is very unfair to many schools, both public and private, who can easily accommodate a hybrid, if not full face-to-face learning experience and still comply with the health protocols.
Well, Education Minister Glenys Hanna-Martin wasted no time hitting back at her predecessor. She says Lloyd knows he left behind a crisis.
During his term in office, he made the decision to keep public school children in a fully virtual mode when there was no such public health prohibition. And at that time, all other schools in the country went into a hybrid model, which he is now advocating for. He also knows that no active steps were taken or real focus brought to bear to track down and help the thousands of children who were plummeting through the cracks because they have never attended school in almost 2 years.
With daily COVID-19 cases in the hundreds and more than 130 healthcare workers out the public healthcare system, one senior doctor says the situation is now critical. Jasmine Brown reports.
CPSA President Dr. Sabri K. Pinder-Butler says the massive wave of COVID cases is crushing the healthcare system as dozens of doctors have been impacted and hospital wards are being shut down.
We are at the point, despite our best efforts, that this is certainly critical.
Dr. Pinder-Butler speaking to our news team as she took a quick break in the middle of a busy clinic shift to explain the dire circumstances. The CPSA president is one of hundreds of healthcare workers on the front lines of the fight against COVID. 130 of her fellow healthcare workers are out of the system.
When you have to close multiple wards and you're not able to reopen them, whether it's because of staffing challenges or whether it's because of other factors, certainly staffing challenges being the main one. If you have the space, but you still don't have the staff to monitor the patient, still don't have the staff to provide the treatment and care, then that is definitely a critical point.
Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville said the government is seeking to bring an additional 50 nurses from abroad to assist as it tries to get a handle on the COVID-19 pandemic.
We certainly know that we're going to need more help. I know that you would have heard from the Ministry of Health that they're planning to augment staff. We're trying to understand, how that will happen. Who will the staff be? Where will they go? Those sorts of things, and that's physician and nursing staff. Because we have not been engaged in those discussions as it relates to how that would work. And I think it's very critical for persons on the ground who are working every day to be involved at that level so that you can help direct, where we may be better to serve our population.
Both Darville and Prime Minister Philip Brave Davis have repeatedly said the government is trying to balance the economy with the COVID-19 situation in the Bahamas. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Island Lux CEO Sebas Bastien applauding government's decision to repeal the patron tax on gaming winnings, saying it never made sense. Economic Affairs Minister Michael Halkitis says the gaming industry is already heavily taxed. Bastien agreed and warned it would have driven players back to the unregulated market. Web shop patrons are also grateful.
Man, that's great to not tax people because right now people need every dollar they could get. And just the main reason why people come here to gamble, they want every dollar.
Right. So you happy with that?
I'm great happy with that. I think the government is happy with that too because once the people are happy, the government should be happy too.
You feel good?
Yeah, I feel good about that more.
The previous administration initially expected to implement the tax in July 2018, along with a host of tax increases for gaming operators. However, it was delayed several times and never implemented.
I feel very well because my money is my money. I shouldn't have to be giving it to nobody else. So I feel very well.
I feel good.
Yeah.
Whatever when you get to keep all. Yeah, so.
So it's better just keep all rather than paying taxes.
That's it, yes.
Clear skies tonight. Meteorologist Greg Thompson has the latest.
Thanks, Christina, and welcome everybody for your first look at weather. Mild conditions outside our studios right now, temperatures in the low 70s. We do have partly cloudy skies, some patchy clouds out there. Your winds are light, falling out of the southeast at 2 miles per hour, and your feels-like temperature in the mid-70s. Satellite view, that front boundary that moved into the capital yesterday, generating some showers across our area and some cloudy conditions. Most of that energy now pulling out towards the open Atlantic, but we do still have the remnants of some of those clouds and some showers across the area. We will continue to experience 1 or 2 spotty showers later on tonight. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, the JCNP chair says a poor production overshadowed the virtual Junkanoo parade. And the BUT president says virtual learning issues still haven't been addressed. The details after this.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
The F&M leader addressing questions from the media on former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis's absence from yet another F&M press conference today. Minnis was not present when Michael Pintard addressed F&M supporters for the first time immediately after he was elected leader in November. And he was the only F&M member of Parliament absent when Pintard was sworn in as opposition leader. Pintard was asked today if an invitation was extended to Dr. Minnis.
I cannot speak to why he's not here today. I think you would be able to get that, but I can say absolutely clearly that invitations have been extended for all colleagues to be here. We had a discussion, an extensive discussion with colleagues. I believe it's more than 31 of us on the call who shared views on the way forward, and so everybody who wished to participate and shape a single message of this organization are welcome to do so. What we need is consistency in message.
From the crime beat, a man was murdered last night during a shooting incident on Coconut Grove Avenue. Police Press Liaison Officer Superintendent Audley Peters says police received reports of the shooting after 9 p.m.
First responders, they confirmed and found an adult male shot multiple times about his body. AMS was called to the scene, and on completion of their examination, that adult male was pronounced lifeless. Our initial investigations revealed that the victim was exiting his vehicle when he was approached by two males armed with firearms who discharged their weapon in his direction, fatally wounding him. We're appealing to members of the public who may have any information in respect to this incident to contact the police department at 502-9991 or their nearest police station.
Shifting gears, Junkanoo Corporation of New Providence Chairman Dion Miller asserting the low-quality production of the Junkanoo Rush Out broadcast on social media overshadowed the virtual parade. The parade, which was produced by a Bahamian company, received widespread backlash, prompting officials to delete the video from the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture's Facebook page.
At the event, there was great excitement and energy in the air, and we were all disappointed when we saw the final product, and so I think it's fair to say that the quality of the production has overshadowed in a negative way the initiative and the step that the ministry initially wanted to happen.
Miller says he received many calls on Sunday from irate Junkanoo Group members. The JCMP chair added he shared their concerns with Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture Mario Boleg, who told reporters the video will be corrected and re-aired.
I made known how Junkanoo felt about it. The minister as well, he was quite upset himself about the quality of it, and he assured me that that the necessary steps will be taken to reproduce or re-edit the film so that it's something of high quality that everyone could be proud of. But he was very blatant, a very blunt conversation between he and I could share with the public that he too was upset about the quality of the production.
And Bahamas Union of Teachers President Belinda Wilson says the decision to delay face-to-face learning was reasonable given the record rise in COVID-19 cases over the last week. However, she says some issues with the virtual learning platform have not been addressed.
It is understandable that the face-to-face component for the reopening of schools has been delayed. However, the concern still exists as to how the thousands of students who have not accessed education for almost 2 years will be accommodated.
Hybrid learning was scheduled for January 11th, but education officials later announced this will be postponed for at least 2 weeks. That means students will start the new year with virtual classes. Wilson says the union is also concerned about glitches on the virtual learning platform.
We await the plans with full details as to how quality education will be delivered by all of our teachers to all of our students. A meeting is scheduled to address these academic concerns. But we're still not convinced that the challenges and the glitches that have been experienced by teachers, students, and parents with the Ministry of Education's Learning Management System, the LMS. We're not convinced that that has been properly addressed and corrected.
Still to come, LPIA sees few cancellations amid the fourth wave, and Buddy Hield hits the hardwood. Find out more after this.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is our news. Welcome back. Lynden Pindling International Airport seeing minimal cancellations amid the fourth wave of COVID cases. Nassau Airport Development Company VP of Marketing and Commercial Development Jan Knowles says while there were several cancellations recently, not many of them could be contributed to the rapid spread of the Omicron variant.
At this time of the year, there's always cancellations. What we certainly can say is that there have not been many cancellations. It's been very few. And those cancellations, the reasons for them range from weather. As you know, weather is going on the East Coast and all over America right now. And that certainly impedes travel in several ways. It causes cancellations, it causes delays. The delays turn into, the unavailability of crew.
It's been a busy holiday season for the airport, according to Knowles, who says the number of passengers surpassed those recorded in 2020, but still coming in shy of the historic figures of 2019. But with the CDC once again bumping the country's COVID advisory up to level 3, advising Americans to reconsider travel, Knowles says NAD is working to keep up with the constant changes during the pandemic.
We've been through a number of changes, and we consider these changes to be a simple part of the business. We make adjustments where we need to make adjustments. We are always mindful. There are constant changes in this COVID-19 operating environment. And so NAD and all of the airport stakeholders, we just continue to be mindful, careful of the changes, and to make adjustments as needed. This is certainly no longer the way that we used to operate. These changes are absolutely necessary.
NBA action continued last night with Buddy Hield facing off against the Los Angeles Lakers. Marcellus Hall has the details tonight in sports.
Welcome to Our Sports, everybody. On a Wednesday, I'm Marcellus Hall checking in on Buddy Hield and the Sacramento Kings back in action last night on the road, playing the LA Lakers in the newly renamed Cryptocurrency Arena. Buddy, good night, coming off the bench as he had the scoring touch going for the second consecutive game, 8 of 18 from the floor, including 7 of 13 from downtown. He leads the way with 26 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. However, it would be a losing effort as the Lakers hold on for the victory here. They get the win, 122-114, despite Buddy's best efforts. Kings right now squandering in the Western Conference. They're 10th in that division at 16-23 with their next game set to come your way when they take on the Atlanta Hawks. That game will be on Wednesday. Meanwhile, DeAndre Ayton still not active for the Phoenix Suns, having going through the COVID protocols. His team in action taking on New Orleans Pelicans yesterday evening. They get a nice win there, 123-110. They're hoping to have DeAndre back in the lineup as soon as possible as the season progresses. But right now, the Suns are still looking pretty good during the course of the regular season. Second in the West at 29-8 during the course of the year. And their next game, and we're not sure whether or not DeAndre will play in this one, will be on Thursday when they take on the Los Angeles Clippers. And that's your look at sports for you here on this Wednesday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you.
Up next, a look at the week ahead in weather. Stay with us.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Welcome back to our news. Sunny skies over the next day or two. Greg is back in the Weather Center.
Thanks again, Christine. Welcome back, everybody, for your second look at weather. Frontal boundary that was across in the northwest Bahamas weakened quite a bit overnight and into this morning. Most of the energy pulling out in the open Atlantic. Some remnants of that frontal boundary still hanging across our area with some spotty showers and some clouds, but we expect conditions to be improving as the evening goes on. High pressure in the Gulf will move across our area, and that will dominate our weather for at least another day or two. But we do expect a low pressure system to develop across the southeastern United States. That will in turn drag a cold front as it moves towards the northeast across the Bahamas by the weekend, and high pressure will once again build across our area for the weekend. Boating conditions, if you plan on doing that tonight through tomorrow for the northwest Bahamas, south to southwest winds at 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4 but up to 6 feet in some swells, so caution flag for you guys. High tide will be at 10:06 tonight. For the central and southeastern islands, that caution flag continues as well down there. East to southeast winds 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4 but up to 6 feet along Atlantic exposed shorelines. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Wednesday. That's a look at our weather. Have a safe night, everybody. Christina?
Thanks, Greg, and thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.